wanted to talk about basements. Basements is a big, big topic.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
We're going to cover it in a couple different ways. One, from the perspective of, okay, what kind of basements am I looking for if you're looking to purchase a home? And then how should you finish these lovely basements if you happen to have a full basement that you can actually finish? So, to start, what's the difference between a full and a part?
Okay, so a full basement would be like a full height basement. You walk down there and it's the entire square footage, more or less,
floor, yeah.
of the main floor. Or yeah. So that it's an extra living space in the basement. Now a part basement, a half basement, a 3/4 basement, they are going to be built a little bit more inwards in terms of they're on like pony walls. And the foundation is obviously on the exterior, but they don't have, there's like 5, depending on what it is, there's a bit of a crawl space underneath portion of the perimeter of the home.
Yeah.
And they're typically not full height in terms of, like, I can walk down all of them, but
I have no problem with either. My whole 5'4" statures.
we're fine. A lot of our clients maybe can't join us, so we're like, it's good, we're cool. But yeah, so those are kind of the differences in terms of different types of basements, and then you can get real fancy. You can get into walkout.
Sure, you can get into if you have split levels, they have different kind of basements. The big thing if you're looking to purchase, and some people are very adamant about having full basements versus any other style of basement, the big thing to consider there, especially in those starter price points, is often price point. So sometimes you'll, if you're online and you see a house that's like 2,000 square feet and it's like, $100,000 less than you would expect, check to see if there's a full basement beneath it, because oftentimes some houses in certain areas, they would build them on slabs, which basically means just a slab of concrete and the house is built on top of it, which means you have sorry about that. So then you have no other basement or no other living space. So again, that's kind of where it comes down to, is what is your price point? Because there can be, in some of those smaller, older homes, there can be a $20,000 to $30,000 difference between having a full basement and having a part basement. And oftentimes in those older homes, even if you do have a full basement, which means you have a basement completely underneath the main part of your house, sometimes the height isn't enough that you could actually do anything with. Because do remember, these older houses, they didn't really build them for living space. They were meant for storage, water prevention, that sort of thing. So just know that those are some of the differences there, for sure.
Yeah.
What else did we want? Oh, okay, so moving on to finishing basements. How much value does that add? How much, and I think a lot of it comes down to, a lot of things.
Yeah, there's actually a plethora of like different, like, should you finish a basement, should you not finish a basement, depending on, your specific home and kind of where it'll max out in terms of the most amount of money you'll get on your return. You have to decide how you'll finish your basement in terms of the finishes. So there's a bunch of different areas that we like to just kind of touch over, but the first area I think that we should talk about when you are finishing a basement is picking the right team to help you finish that basement. And I think the first phone call you should probably make is maybe to your realtor, just to discuss, hey, we want to finish our basement. What do you think? Like, should we add a bathroom? Should we add a bedroom? Should we, what kind of finishes can we, what's the return for our type of home in our area? Where do we max out in terms of where we'll not, make past that, and where will we be able to spend the amount of money that will recoup and possibly profit as well? So that's always, I think that's the first phone call.
For sure, especially because, especially things like putting in certain utilities like another bathroom, putting in another bedroom, putting in different things like that. And even before you get to that, a good realtor or even a good basement contractor will give you an idea on any repairs you need to do. So one of the biggest concerns for buyers out there is the basement. Is the basement waterproof? Is it having any leaking? Are there any cracks in the walls? Are there any issues with it? Because you have to remember that basement work is probably the most expensive work you'll do to your house. And not only that, but oftentimes it's not like you spend $30,000 repairing your basement and you're going to make that $30,000 back. Everyone who's buying this house is expecting to have a solid foundation. So they're not going to pay you extra because, you fixed the basement from any leakiness. But if you're going to finish a basement for your own use or your own pleasure or whatever, make sure that that basement is as waterproof as it possibly can be. So, you know, make sure everything is sealed properly. If there's any cracks, fix them before you close up walls, because nothing is worse than closing up your walls, spending, you know, tens of thousands of dollars only to have the next day water, you know, leaking in, ruining carpet, ruining flooring, ruining baseboards, ruining drywall, etc., etc. And then on top of it, you have to rip it all out to fix whatever is going on behind the walls.
Yes,
So.
and water is it leaves a mark for sure. Like, doesn't matter, you can clean it out, you
Yeah.
can still see the water damage.
Yeah.
So, be very mindful of that.
Absolutely, 100%. So, what's the next thing? So we were talking about
Your contractor, then you
Yes.
know, you pick a contractor, and I recommend calling, you know, 2 to 3, honestly, and have them do, like Mon said,
Yeah.
a walkthrough in terms of like, okay, you know, this might need to be sealed a little bit better, and
Yeah.
you know, you're saying you get water in this corner. Let's do an investigative dig and let's find out what's
Yeah.
going on there. So I'd call a few people, get their opinion, and then get a few quotes in terms of, okay, so we've decided we would like a bathroom, we've decided we'd like a wet bar. So grab those quotes and start to kind of, you know, discuss where your price point's going to be, and remember where your max is for your area, and so you know, stay below that, whatever.
Yeah.
And work with those contractors to help pick your finishes.
Yes.
So if you're in a, you know, $300,000 home, your finishes should maybe be more standard in terms of,
Yeah.
we're going to be using a nice carpet, we're going to be using a nice laminate.
Yeah.
You don't want to use really expensive like tile and stone in a basement where you might not be able to recover that money, and that, you know, is a preference thing too. So if that's what you prefer, and you're going to be using that basement for the next 10-15 years, then use what you finish your basement with what you'll enjoy to see, obviously.
Of course.
But if you're selling it in the next 5 years, be
Yeah.
mindful of the finishes that you're using.
Yeah, because you may not get that back. The other big thing in choosing a contractor is don't go with the one that says, oh, permits? Who needs those? You need them. You need them. Do them. I know it slows down the process. I know that it's a bit more costly, and I know that it's a little bit more onerous. But do please know, we have run into more issues with permits in the last few years than we ever have. And it can be an impediment to a sale. It can also cause major complications. So please know, it is really imperative that whoever you use, especially if you're putting in a bathroom, or if you're opening up walls, or if you're moving teleposts, or if you're whatever, make sure to have permits pulled, inspected, and that a good tradesperson is doing it.
Yes.
Because it can cause a lot of problems.
If the contractor says, you know what, we're going to do it without permits, I always do that, you're going to show him the door. Because he's not looking out for your best interest.
No.
Or she. Could be a female contractor.
Exactly. There are very good female contractors out there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so definitely think about that. And then going back to what Monica was saying about finishes and things like that, do think about the price point of your home. If you're in an $800,000 home, you're obviously going to have far different finishes in your basement than you will if you have a $300,000 home. And that's not to say that you can't do it up nicely, but just be very practical in your choices in that regard, because like I said, we don't want to see you putting in, you know, marble backsplashes.
That's
fancy. Yeah, that's fancy, but you'll never see that money right back out there. So those are some things to definitely think about in the whole basement concept. And then, yeah, thoughts?
I think the biggest question was, does it add value to your home if you finish your basement, right? So that's the question that you're asking. And when we're running comparables for houses, to either price a home or to help a purchaser purchase a home, a finished basement will stand out.
Especially because it adds things like another bedroom, usually, another bathroom. Those two things are very, very important. And then it's just another living space for people, especially in those smaller houses. Having a finished basement is actually quite crucial and can add depending on the value of the home, it can add tens of thousands of dollars to your value. So if that's something that you're looking at doing and you plan on living in the home for a while, move forward with it, because by the time you actually do sell your house, you'll probably see a pretty decent return on it. If you're doing it and tomorrow you're planning on selling your house, that's where your numbers may not totally pan out as well.
Yes.
But definitely a worthwhile investment. The big thing is just make sure to do it smart, especially and do make sure you follow the rules. Things like bedrooms, especially in basements.
Yes.
Do make sure that it has egress windows, which I believe the standard was 2.33 square feet opening. But then it has to have an egress window, so it can't have a slider window. It can't have that. So just make sure that you're complying with the rules, because as soon as when you're looking at houses with buyers and you start to notice those discrepancies that aren't done properly, it immediately triggers like, oh, I would have to, yeah, what else? And I'd have to open that window in order to make it bigger and for it to be egress, blah, 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 blah. And then it makes people think if you did things properly or not.
Yes.
So just think of those things always when you're doing home renovations. I'm not anti-DIY or DIY. DIY. I'm not anti that, but I'm definitely about doing it right. And really, literally, just for your own benefit, to preserve your interest in your investment.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
And always call us if you're thinking about doing it. If you want help with finishes, let us know.
Yes.
We're totally open to helping with that.
Yeah, that's definitely something we're kind of unique in that we do have both sides, both the design side as well as the real estate side. We're more than happy to help our clients out with that sort of thing and give our opinion on those things, because we do know the market, but we also know what looks pretty. So.
We're the best things pretty.
Monica, we're smart and pretty.
Some days that's questionable. But anyway, thanks a lot for joining us. I hope this was valuable. I hope that answered your
Yes,
question.
I hope so. And if you guys have anything else you want to talk about, please let us know. Okay, talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.